All right, ladies and gentlemen, it's 6:30 on the dot. I'm going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. Just a couple housekeeping things. First off, I mentioned this just a second ago. We have some copies of the agenda on the podium, so if you'd like to follow along with us, feel free to grab one of those agendas. Also, there's going to be a couple different public comment periods tonight. So there's a public comment period, which is a 2-minute period. Basically, you can come up and address the council. There will also be public hearing for 2 specific applications. So if you're here on behalf of an application, there'll be a time for that later. All right. If you're able, if you could stand for our invocation, our Mayor Pro Tem, Michael Rudnick, is going to lead us in the invocation and the pledge.
You would bow your heads, please. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you so much for gathering us together for this meeting today, for the citizens that have come out to support the city of Mulberry, and for the council and staff that's come out to support the city of Mulberry as well. We are trying to make the best decisions we possibly can for everyone in this city, and trying to do everything we can to move the city forward. In your son's name we pray, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. I'm going to go ahead and call the roll. We're going to do it in the order of the districts as we do every evening. I'm going to start with District 1, Councilman Tim Sullivan. Present. District 2, that's me, Michael Coker, I am here. District 3, Councilman Kyle Shields.
Present.
District 4, our Mayor Pro Tem Michael Rudnick.
Present.
And then District 5, Councilman Doug Hingram.
Present.
All right, Madam Clerk, if you can notate, we have all 5 council members present this evening. That'll bring us to item E, which is the mayor's opening comments. The only thing that I was going to mention is obviously school is officially back. I'm sure you know from sitting in traffic on 124 just like I do. So that obviously there's a lot of school buses out there. There's kids, walking on the sidewalk, walking in the neighborhoods. So my only request as the mayor is obviously for everybody here, everybody listening at home, it may take you a couple extra minutes to get to work, but just be patient. Nothing is worth endangering the life of a child, right? So I've already seen people, flying past school buses and this and that. It's just not worth it. It's not worth it to have that on your conscience for the rest of your life. And so obviously it's going to take a little more time. There's going to be a little more traffic going on, but obviously just be aware of that. So thank you. Does any of the other council have an opening comment?
No, sir.
I'd like to bring some up.
Sure, go ahead.
Yeah, everybody, if you have an Instagram account, feel free to follow me on Kyle Talks Mulberry. So what I'm doing is I'm trying to go around to different retailers throughout the city, trying to help promote them. And I'm also doing walking and talking with your councilman on Tuesdays at 6:45. I do a lap around the lake. Feel free to come on out with me, chat me up, and we'll talk Mulberry, whatever you want to do. And so follow me on Instagram, and I'll kind of update on the notes when we're going.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any other council members have an opening comment?
I'd like to just say something, Mr. Mayor.
Sure.
It's a thank you to the staff. I know we've had some very long weeks as of late, and I don't think any of us fully appreciate how long some of those nights are for you, so I appreciate all the work you guys are doing. Thank you.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. I couldn't agree more. Anybody else? Okay, hearing none, we'll go ahead and move on. That brings us to item G, the city manager's opening comments. City manager, anything to add?
I would just like to echo what Councilman Ingram said. Thank you to my team, all in all. It's been a fun last month, let's just say that.
Been a lot going on, for
Yeah.
sure. All right, thank you, Mr. City Manager. All right, that will bring us to item H, the consideration of tonight's meeting agenda. Has the council had time to review the agenda, and is there any amendments that need to be made? No? Then I will entertain a motion on this.
I make a motion to adopt the regular meeting agenda for Thursday, August 6th, 2026.
Thank you, Mayor.
For the Mulberry City Council.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the agenda for tonight is hereby adopted. We'll move it on to item I, which is the consideration of the meeting minutes, IA of July 16th, 2026. Is there any changes or amendments to the proposed minutes as presented? All right, hearing none, I will make a motion to adopt the meeting minutes for the city council for the city of Mulberry for July 16th, 2026 as presented. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Shields. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the minutes for July 16th, 2026 are hereby adopted. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to the public comment period. This is our first public comment period, so this is not related to any specific application that's on file with the city. But basically, it's just an open public comment period. We limit you to 2 minutes. Typically, the council will not respond to your public comment. We don't respond, but we do listen intently. You will have our ears. The one thing we do ask is if you do want to give a public comment, if you could sign the sheet up front so we have your name, state your name for the record, your address, and what district in Mulberry you live, if you do. All right, is there anyone here who'd like to give a public comment?
Does that include asking questions?
Like I said, so there really is not a question period, so there's really not a question period involved, but this is more of a comment, so if you want to make a comment, you can do that, but questions would need to probably be reserved till after the meeting, meet with one of the council members or the city manager. All right, we have Mr. Stansel is going to give a public comment.
You know, I just wanted to do a quick update on the history part of the city of Mulberry, and it's just very quick. I was sad to see the Native American letter come out, but we've been working diligently and we've identified probably 45 historic sites in the city of Mulberry. And we have some very important historic sites. We're trying to document them and do research on them to do an outline, so we have a basic outline. This is including Fort Daniel, Elijah Wynn, all the old mill sites, the schools, the post offices, the old post office that were here at one time, and cemeteries, some that are marked and some that are unmarked. So I'm just going to say that we're working on that, trying to get an outline, and I hope that's suitable to the mayor and the council.
Thank you.
For those of you who don't know, Mr. Stansel serves as our chair of our historical board in the city of Mulberry, so he gives a big service to this city, and we very much appreciate that. Is there anyone else who'd like to give a public comment this evening?
Is this like for stuff that's going on in the Mulberry that I would like to talk about? Or
You got,
Yes,
sure,
sir.
you got,
Yes,
sure,
sir.
you got 2 minutes. Yep, you can bring it whatever you like to, sir. If you could just sign your name up there, and if you could state your name for the record once you sign that sheet, your address, and then just tell us what district of Mulberry you live in, if you know.
I'm in District 1, Mr. Sullivan's, and I wanted to talk to you about the proposed mosque that's going to be coming in at Togo Road and Hamilton Mill. You know, he can tell you, it took me nearly 15, 20 minutes to get here today from Togo Road. Shouldn't we fix the traffic first before we go put a mosque in a neighborhood? I mean, it's residential. My parents grew up out there. We've been here since the 30s. They've raised cattle, they've raised hogs, they've done everything, you know, and I just don't see getting a mosque in this neighborhood, and I don't understand why. And if you guys could help me, tell me, I'd appreciate it, you know, but this is just a residential neighborhood, and all of a sudden you're putting a mosque out there. Aren't they like business areas or something where it should go, or instead of right there? Or put it next to another church or something, I don't know. I'm just looking, I was surprised when I found out about this the other day. So I'm just trying to get more answers. And I got all my neighbors here that I could get, they could find this place. And so if y'all could help us out, we'd really appreciate it. Thank you very much.
Thank you, sir. If you could just if you could give us your name and your
Oh, I'm
address.
sorry,
Yeah,
I'm
that's
Dennis
okay, no
Holman, I
problem.
live on Togo Road, and I'm available 24/7, I'm retired.
Sir,
Dennis,
Sir.
fill out the paper.
Oh, I did?
sir, I'll chat with you.
Oh, okay.
Yes, sir. And I'll give you
Thank
a
you.
little bit more outline of what the process is.
All right, is there anyone else who'd like to give a public comment? Sure. If you could, again, name, address and sign that piece of paper and what district you live in.
I'm Dale Bargan, Turtle Road also. My wife is Paula right here. And I live next door to Dennis. I'd like to echo Dennis's concern about traffic. I've been here about 35 years, and Hamilton Mill used to be a road that when you went down it, you knew about every other car that came by, and you knew them coming up, oh yeah, here they come, you know? Now you can't even get out on Hamilton Mill. And that problem's been getting worse and worse for the last 5 or 6 years. It obviously is needed either a left-hand turn lane to relieve the backup, or a trip light to allow people on Tucker Road to actually make a left-hand turn onto Hamilton Mill, which would be in the direction of the freeway, which is where a lot of people are going. One of my concerns is that the mosque would be allowed to begin construction before you all have resolved the traffic pattern. I could foresee that, considering some of the decisions government has made, that they would get a light and we would not. And I think that would be wrong. We need to have their entrance and exit be exactly opposite Tuttle, so the same light could serve both, or have no light at all, or have a roundabout. But the experience we've had with roundabouts, one was going in at Bogan and Thompson Mill, which I know is outside of Mulberry, but they've had that road torn up for about a year and completely closed down for about 6 months, 9 months. Is that what's gonna happen to Hamilton Mill while you build a roundabout there? How long can you close down Hamilton Mill before you have a riot? That really needs to be thought through before anybody approves a mosque. So I really don't see, you know, the approval process preceding the traffic solution. So.
All right, sir, that's the time. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you very much.
Hi, I'm Paula Bargan, sales wife, and my concern is on these roundabouts, people do not yell, especially right up here on Sardis Church Road. It's a whole line of traffic, and then the school, when the school gets in, gets out, what do parents do? They block the whole roundabout. I mean, there's a yield sign there, obviously, but does anyone know how to use it? Now, I've been here my entire life. My father was here his entire life. My grandparents were here. So, I'm a native from here. And as far as the mosque coming, the temple coming in, I don't think we need one right in our back door. They have one in Sugar Hill. They have one in Swanee. I mean, honestly, do we have to have one in every little neighborhood? They don't even like Americans. They behead us. And if we don't believe in their God, then you know. And it is known fact, because I have one of their Bibles, because I wanted to do research on it. To me, I consider them more or less the devil. And that's what I consider.
All right, thank you, ma'am. Anyone else want to give a public comment? Sure, come on up. Oh, Mr. Hughes beat you to the punch.
Oh, good. When you're older, you're slow, you know?
We'll make plenty of time. You'll be next, sir.
My name is Steve Hughes. I live at 413 Four Seasons Court. And I would just like to say concerning the mosque that I graduated in 1981 from a very, very conservative Baptist college and seminary. My wife was the first kindergarten teacher at Northeast Atlanta Christian Schools, which later became Hebrew Christian Academy. My son graduated from Hebron Christian Academy in 2008. And currently he is the Associate Director of Middle Eastern and Islamic Studies at the University of North Carolina. And my daughter-in-law is a doctor at UNC, and she comes from a Muslim background. Her parents were refugees, Palestinian refugees. And I would like to say, for me, that I welcome people of different faiths to this area, and I'm proud that I have a Islamic daughter-in-law, and I'm proud to welcome them into the community.
Thank you, Mr. Hughes. All right, sir.
Should've just kept going. It's okay, I won't fall on your bit.
I was trying to give you some room.
If you don't mind, sign the pad, remember name, address, and the district you live in, if you know.
Okay? I think I'm in, what district are we in?
We're in one.
One. Okay, cool. Okay, I have 3 points up. My name is Gerald Reichel. I have lived on Tuggle Road for 40 years. I hope my ashes end up there. My main question here is in reference to zoning. Now, I sat in on all the Mulberry meetings, and I remember Mr. Chuck Estration talking to us about what he called helter-skelter zoning that Gwinnett County was doing. Now, how is it that all of a sudden Mulberry is reaching out and grabbing a piece of property here, a piece of property up on Ridge Road, which appears to be for one purpose, which up until now that somebody identified it as a mosque, it's been called a gathering place. Now, a gathering place can mean a lot of things. I got the letter. Is a gathering place a Boy Scout camp? Is it a ball diamond? But no, we find out now it's a mosque. Okay? First I've heard of it.
First I've heard of it.
The other issue I have, when the letter came out, I, Gerald Reichel, got the letter.
I did
They
not.
did not get a letter.
That's right.
Dennis did not get a letter. Danny did not get a letter. Nobody except I was informed. Until I passed this around to Mr. Barger, they knew nothing of this. So it just seems to me that there's just kind of a lot of stuff going on here that's kind of not in the light of day. Okay? That's my opinion. My other point is this. Traffic. For every 10 miles of speed,
All right, sir, if you could wrap it up, just finish this
for
point.
every 10 miles of speed, you need 100 feet of sight distance. Hamilton Mill Road at best is 45 miles an hour. That's 450 feet towards the freeway. That's a long ways. We can't get out of there now. We have been begging for some relief. We can't get it. So,
Thank you, sir. Yeah, again, if you could maybe talk with Mr. Palmer after the meeting.
After the meeting, I can give you all and kind of explain everything.
I think maybe that it'll be easier to understand the procedures and how things are averaged out.
And I can explain the letter,
Um,
not getting to your address.
Okay, anyone else want to give a public comment? All right, then, not hearing none, I will go and close the public comment period under J. All right, that will bring us to item K, which is proclamation, KA, proclamation honoring Don Heath for military service and community dedication. So, gentlemen, this is something that I had requested. So there is a gentleman that lives in my district. His name is Mr. Don Heath. And he is a remarkable human being that I have come to know over the last 3 to 4 years. He started in the Marines, and he served in the Philippines right in the final years right after World War II. Served in the Philippines when that country was torn apart, and basically our troops went in and helped them. They were one of our allies in World War II, helped kind of rebuild the country, fight the remaining guerrillas that were out there, and Mr. Heath served in this area right after World War II. To my knowledge, he is one of, in my opinion, the only sole, maybe not right at World War II, but right at post-World War II person still living in this city. And he truly is an American hero. And he has been, but even more so than that, he has been somebody that this community has cherished and absolutely loved. He was notorious. He had the most beautiful backyard, the most beautiful garden, and people would come over, and he would pull, trees right out of the ground and give them to people. Oh, you like that tree? Here's a seed, and he would whatever. And he's just spread so much joy in this community. Well, unfortunately, I'm going to try not to get emotional. I found out about a month ago that he is on hospice and that it's the end of his life. And so he's somebody that's really touched my life and been a big part of it. And so I wanted the city to give this man a proclamation, both for his military service and for what he's done for me and this community. And so we are going to, I'm going to read the proclamation because I think he deserves it. His daughter is here right now. And it's Diane, right? Yeah, his daughter Diane is here to accept it on his behalf because obviously he can't be here. He's on hospice. But I'm going to read it because I think hopefully he can watch the video and hear the remarkable life that he's lived. So this is a proclamation honoring Donald William Heath for military service and community dedication. Whereas the mayor and city council proudly recognize Donald Heath, a Mulberry resident, United States Marine Corps veteran and dedicated community volunteer for his exemplary service to our nation and his lasting contributions to this community. And whereas, following his graduation from high school, he enlisted in the United States Marine Corps in 1947, completed recruit training in Parris Island, South Carolina, served at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, spent significant time aboard an aircraft carrier in the Philippine Sea, attained the rank of Staff Sergeant in 1949, was honorably released from active duty in 1952, and was honorably discharged from the Marine Corps and the Reserve in 1954. Whereas, after his military service, he continued a life of service as a volunteer firefighter, volunteer poll worker, active church member, and volunteer supporting Meals on Wheels and other local hospital initiatives. He has called Gwinnett County home for more than 32 years. And whereas through his kindness, generosity, and genuine love for meeting people and spreading joy, he has made a meaningful and lasting impact on those around him. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the mayor and the city council of the city of Mulberry do hereby honor Donald Heath for his distinguished military service, unwavering commitment to volunteerism, and outstanding contributions to the community, and extend their sincere gratitude, heartfelt appreciation, and deepest respect to Mr. Heath and his entire family. And so, council, I would request that you adopt this proclamation to honor this living legend in our community. So, at this time, I make a motion to adopt this proclamation as read for Donald William Heath. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Ingram. Any other discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the proclamation is adopted. Ms. Diane, if you could come up and accept it on his behalf. If you could give him a round of applause, please. Well, good. Thank you. All right, thank you, everybody. I appreciate you doing that. All right, that will bring us to action item KB. a presentation of the comprehensive plan public engagement summary report. Who's gonna present this one? All right, Ms. Kiefer's gonna do that. Thank you.
Good evening. I'm here tonight, excited about the, kind of getting to the presentation. We're kind of warming up for the release of the comprehensive plan draft. So what we've got right now is just a summary of the public engagement process that we've been through thus far, what's left to happen, so that everyone's aware this is a really critical time for reviewing the draft, kind of affirming the findings of the public engagement process. And then I'll go through a quick summary of the survey itself. Next slide. So this is an enumeration of what's happened to date. We started kind of, February with various internal staff meetings, connected with city council, other city leadership, boards and commissions, to start and develop the framework for what the comprehensive plan was going to look like. And then throughout the process, all of these other inputs with the steering committee, public engagement meetings, kind of the general community meetings, we would imagine it like a funnel. We started with kind of a broad, kind of what do we want, and started to filter that down. And then it's a feedback loop throughout that process of, here's what we heard, is this right? And then let's go a little bit more specific. And the plan itself will, you will start to see those policies shake through in that as we start to identify different geographies, different land uses that we want to promote. Those policies are going to start and support those frameworks that we've established through this process. Moving forward, the process that we've got is, of course, tonight we had a community meeting where we've got some of the plan recommendations and started getting feedback on that. From now until September 3rd, we will be synthesizing all of that information and finalizing a draft for public release. On September 3rd, that's a public hearing to transmit the document to Atlanta Regional Commission and Department of Community Affairs. That's kind of a compliance process. Did we follow the required procedures in state law? Is the content that's required from them in the document? But that's really the part, the piece where it gets released to the public and they can review the detailed document. And so we've got 6 weeks programmed into that starting September 3rd, where the public can provide feedback on that draft. Then it'll come back to us in October from the public, from those two state agencies, and we'll take it to Planning Commission in November, City Council in December for another public hearing, and ultimately adoption in December, so that we can begin using that to guide land use decisions. For members of the public, what the comprehensive plan does is it's a policy guiding document that we can identify character areas within the city. What kind of growth do we want to see there? What kind of character is the current development? What do we want to see in 10 years? And the decisions that come before you, that provides a guide for, yes, this development follows or meets that vision, or no, it does not. And the request before you, we want to deny because of how it meets or does not meet that comprehensive plan. So it really provides a guide for making those decisions objectively as they come before you. So then survey results. The survey ran for about 3 months, opened in April and closed just recently in July. We had a total of 487 responses, and almost 95% identified as City of Mulberry residents. Next slide. So this first slide identifies, it's a word cloud, and so the size of the word is tied to the frequency of those different words in the responses. So you can start to see a sense of community, nature and green space, how those will start to inform some of the policies in the document. All right, so for development, we want to preserve the green space components of existing parcels, so that's tied to later updates in the zoning ordinance that preserve those. It could also be city actions to, how are we going to prioritize city budget to be able to impact some of these things. Next slide. what are some of the most important reasons why you choose to live work? So with some of these questions, we're trying to understand what makes Mulberry special today, what do we need to preserve today, and what needs to be preserved into the future. So natural beauty and trees, again, that has implications for development, but then also city actions that will ring through in the plan. Next slide. How satisfied are you with the following services? So this was you see some of the lower ones, zoning and land use. And so we specifically noted from January 2025, identifying when the city was incorporated, but there could also be a need for some more public education about what zoning is, what it isn't. Because for a lot of this time, I think we've had 3 community initiated zoning cases. And so a lot of the zoning and land use that we see happening right now are actually vestiges from Gwinnett County. So getting a better understanding for what that is. Some of the more positively ranked of those services, we've called out public safety, emergency services, and waste and garbage disposal. Next slide. Where do you believe commercial growth? Some of the top ones are no further commercial growth, so kind of keeping it horizontally where it is now, doing some infill along Brazelton Highway corridor near the 85 interchange area. So really concentrating those commercial areas of growth, of commercial growth. How compatible do you feel the following development types are? So again, this is where, as we start and build out what land uses we want and where, we will start to look to those geographies in those areas where there's currently commercial today, what kinds of commercial, and so we start to drill down into some of the higher ranked, and this is going left to right as far as the colored bars. So some of the least appropriate self-storage warehouses, and then some of the more appropriate over on the right, as people identified, local restaurants, boutique retail, in the highly compatible and somewhat compatible, personal services, professional services, boutique retail shops. What format of commercial? The highest ranked was this village style, so a small walkable village, kind of concentrated center. And we'll see in some of the housing later on some implications for how those might work together in the future vision. From a housing perspective of understanding what housing do we have today, what housing might be needed, 67% of respondents said that they did not feel like a family could downsize or move into as kind of they're starting out their professional lives here in Mulberry. And so where some of the housing is identified are those, more transitional housing in those commercial areas that can support the commercial local businesses and then protect the large lot residential that most of the other city is located. If community were to add diverse housing options, question, so this is where we start to see where can those houses be located, where are people seeing those as a transition. Residential is a good transition between commercial and larger lot residential, and so that might be around the Brazelton Highway corridor as a buffer, so that commercial does not encroach into those residential. Which aspects of the natural environment should be the highest priority? Again, we see tree canopy show up again, so really strong tree ordinances is kind of what this says from a policy standpoint, making sure development protects that tree canopy. Even higher than waterways and wildlife habitats, but of course, as we're protecting that tree canopy, it does have some trickle-down impacts on those other areas. For parks, this is one that probably would warrant a deeper dive from a comp plan recommendation standpoint. Do we look into what parks resources we have and need from an inventory standpoint? Because we've got 45% of respondents that say we have plenty of options, and then almost that same number saying I frequently travel outside. So I think that's probably a need to look a bit deeper into that data. Are you able, these are some interesting implications for requiring sidewalks from the development standpoint, city investments in sidewalks and trail programs. Are you able to safely and comfortably walk or bike to any of the following? Most respondents said a neighbor's house, and then the next most frequent response is none of the above. And so if we go to the next, there is a desire, very likely or likely, that, or willingness of 75% of respondents to bike within a 10-minute distance. So that's really telling for what some of those, that infrastructure and services people might be looking for. New housing or businesses, don't support any new housing or business growth at 33%. And then we are seeing where there is support for that, that growth needs to be concentrated in those commercial nodes where there is intensity, density today. Which of the following business sectors would be the best fit? And so this starts to have economic development implications. What different industries are we recruiting to the city? Do we want to bring from a direct recruitment standpoint, but then also from a land use, what do we want to support from the spaces that they're allowed to go in? Boutique retail, family focused entertainment. We saw a lot of that family focused desire. And then of all the economic strategies, how should the city prioritize them? And again, the top is the left, attract professional white collar. That's to the left of the graph from a color standpoint. And then offer incentives to attract businesses to the area is that black bar on the far right. So we see some of the highest priorities from the responses standpoint. The attract family-friendly entertainment and recreation, and attract destination dining and unique shopping was some of the top responses for high priority. So that is everything from a summary standpoint. You've also received the detailed summary. That will be in the appendix of the comprehensive plan because it feeds into a lot of those recommendations. It is also on the project website and downloadable.
Any questions from the council for Ms. Kiefer about the comprehensive plan engagement summary?
I have one quick question.
Sure.
The methodology for the survey itself, were people able to respond more than one time?
No, it is, the IP address at least is locked now because they can do cell phones and things. It's not necessarily something that is a statistically significant survey where they're mailed a card and specifically locked down. No, it is not that. It is a community survey that is web-based, so that.
Well, if someone had 10 or
It's not
15
locked.
computers in their house, then, right.
Or cell phones,
Right,
to
or
be able to not
pretty
bounce on an
individualized
IP.
responses here.
Yeah.
Gotcha, okay.
Any other questions?
I have one quick question, Mr. Mayor. Are you comfortable, I know we had a tight timeline to develop this, are you comfortable with the progress so far?
Absolutely. We have a very solid working draft that we are really massaging and going, because we have had such great input and it has been very consistent throughout. What we're going to do is refine it with the comments that we got tonight. We've got the steering committee meeting upcoming, and then of course we'll present both you and the planning commission with the draft in the upcoming meeting. So there will be plenty of time built in to be able to make adjustments, but I'm confident the recommendations are very consistent with everything we've been hearing.
That we saw, so we had our public input portions and the survey, and we saw very little variation between all three groups. Now, to Councilman Rudnick's point, some of that may be a little bit of an overlap, but majority of the respondents that we saw online tracked with the data that we're seeing in the public participation portions that we did, like Mulberry Jam, or here a couple times.
So common themes, basically.
Common
keep
themes.
coming up.
It's pretty much across the board. What you saw in the survey results is an echo of everything else that we've been hearing from the entire community.
That's great.
Any other questions? All right, thank you, Mr. Weaver, appreciate it. All right, that brings us to page 2 of our agenda. We don't have any items under L, the consent agenda, so that brings us to our public hearings for this evening.
That was the second one.
That was the second.
Okay, no problem.
All right, that brings us to M, public hearings. MA, second read of ordinance 2026-07178, case number SUP 2026-020310. At first, I'm going to turn it over to staff.
All right, this is a second read and a public hearing for SUP 2026-02.0310, and the address is 5215 Brazelton Highway. The request is for a special use permit for a convenience store and fuel pumps. on the property, and it is currently zoned C2. And on the use table, to be able to do the fuel pumps specifically, they are required to apply for a special land use permit to conduct that use. Next slide. So the site is before you. This is unchanged from the version that you saw at the first read. It is on the corner of D. Kennedy and Brazelton Highway. The fuel pumps being toward the point of that intersection, and then the 5 suites there toward the eastern side. On April 21st, 2026, Planning Commission reviewed the application and recommended denial. And it's here for the state mandated public hearing as well as the second read. The site is 1.35 acres, and we have a set of criteria that we review. It is in the zoning ordinance that we review special use permits as well as rezonings against. And so we've reviewed it against that criteria and found, as we've outlined in the staff report, that it is not supported by the comp plan. The comp plan designation calls for residential uses and neighborhood scale, civic and amenity uses, and kind of consistency with the surrounding character. So staff has recommended denial, but for your purposes, we have provided a set of 5 conditions to attenuate some of the impacts that we identified, limiting some of the uses that could be associated with the proposed use, as well as some of the physical impacts to the site, because it is such a small, odd-shaped parcel. And so we've provided those for you tonight, but recommend denial of the application.
All right, thank you. Is there any questions for staff on this application? All right, hearing none, we will go ahead and have the public hearing, ladies and gentlemen. So we have a public hearing. So what that means is we offer 10 minutes for each side. 10 minutes for those that would like to speak in favor of this application, and then 10 minutes for those who would like to speak in opposition. So is the applicant here to speak tonight?
Yes, sir.
Okay, if you could go ahead, would you like to speak in favor?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay, all right, perfect. Then we'll go ahead and have you come up, so we'll go ahead and open the public hearing for ordinance 2026-07178, which is case number SUP 2026-02-0312, for those that want to speak in favor of this ordinance. You may begin. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Honorable Mayor and Council. My name is Tip Horn. I'm a consulting engineering for Mr. Khan, who's the owner. He is, unfortunately, he's not here today. He's there in Bangladesh, and we had a meeting with him today. He instructed us what we can agree to. If you have any question or anything that's outside of that, we might have to consult with him. But for the most part, we are under his instruction of what to be able to propose in front of you. Just to reiterate, this project was initially applied for and approved under Gwinnett County in August 15 of 2024. The permit was approved and LDP was issued, and the contractor, Mr. Shane Sharp with JMK Construction, is with me today, and he's been trying to get a pre-construction meeting with Gwinnett County as soon as they released the project, but he was unable to, and then it drags on into early to late part of January 2025, and that's when the property transitioned over to the city of Mulberry, and we weren't able to make contact with the city, as well as there are other we were finally able to make contact with the city on February 4th, and we presented we asked for the pre-construction meeting with the city, but we were unable to obtain that. I know the city manager mentioned that there's a window that is allowed for the project to be transferred or to be transitioned from Gwinnett County to City of Mulberry. I know the contractor and the owner has been diligently trying to obtain that permit so they can go to work. Unfortunately, they were unable to do it either for whatever reason, but we can provide a detailed description of the timeline of when we reach out to the city, what our conversation is with Gwinnett County, that we can share with you. We discussed the project with the owner. He had no problem with most of the condition that's put forward by staff. The only item that we could not agree to is condition number 4, which is vehicular access to and from Brazelton Highway shall be prohibited. No curb cuts should be permitted along the property frontage on Brazelton Highway. This being a gas station with the main traffic coming from Brazelton Highway, it will be detrimental to the operation of the business if we're not allowed to have that curb cut. Also, I would like to point out that, you know, with fuel delivery trucks, they need full access to be able to navigate in and out of the site, being able to safely deliver the fuel and be able to exit the site safely. In addition to the project that has been approved, and to mention that Brazelton Highway is a Georgia DOT regulated highway, and we have gone through all the proper channel with DOT to obtain all the permit necessary, and we are also want to be part of the solutions. I know a lot of folks complain about traffic on D. Kennedy. The owner is willing to build a deceleration lane on D. Kennedy, and then allowing the traffic to be able to keep on moving and coming onto Brazelton Highway, and allowing at least the right turn lane folks to be able to use the decel lane and to not be a bottleneck at that intersection. He does also mention that he's willing to be part of the solution in funding any traffic light or anything that the city might initiate for that to help with traffic in that area. And the last thing I'd like to do is to ask that mayor and council would seriously consider approving this project so the owner can finally move forward. I know that he's very patient in this, and we all wanted to respect the city in following your process and going through the proper channel. That's why we're here today, asking for the supplemental use in order to allow us to construct the project. But this project has already been approved, and it's been very much delayed, and I ask that the city mayor and council would consider approving so they can move forward with the project. And I would like to I'd like to reserve the time for any rebuttal and open any question that you might have for us.
Okay.
You have anything to add, Mr.?
I mean, so we started this process in Gwinnett County back in 2022. And we spent about two and a half years going through the review process with Gwinnett County. We finally, in August of 2024, we finally were approved the LDP. There were some additional comments from Gwinnett County. On December 16th, you can see 2024, we did get the LDP. Gwinnett County issued LDP number. We requested a pre-construction meeting at that time, and Gwinnett County went dark. We didn't hear from Gwinnett County until early part of January. At that point in time, Gwinnett County said, hey, it's no longer in our jurisdiction, it's the city of Mulberry. The city of Mulberry had just been annexed, I believe that in November. And so they gave me the contact individual to reach out to the city of Mulberry, which I did immediately, and it's outlined in the paperwork I just gave me. We continued that process, communication. We weren't really getting anywhere, but at the same time, City of Mulberry was a new city. You guys were still trying to get, you know, the ability to do permits, LDPs, and so forth. And that took some time, and you know, we understood that, you know, new city and so forth. But our position is that our client has spent a considerable amount of time on it. At this point, he's already bought his fuel equipment, which at this point in time is no longer in warranty. He's purchased his tanks. He's done some site improvements and so forth to that location. Furthermore, like he had mentioned, he's willing to fund these improvements to that area at that intersection, whether it be the decel lane, whether it be a traffic light, which would help alleviate traffic in that area. I understand there's a lot of traffic at that intersection quite a bit, and I understand it is a dangerous intersection. So we want to be part of the solution to help alleviate that situation. But at the same time, you know, understand my client's position. He had an approved LDP, and at the time, we did everything we were asked to do. And now we're here trying to get additional approval. So.
All right, thank you. You'll have a minute 40 for rebuttal, but before we get there, does the council have any questions for the applicant?
I have a couple questions. Why a gas station?
This is my client, he would like to put a gas station on location. Obviously, there's gonna be some restaurant, like a Dunkin' Donuts, some small fast food service as well. Maybe, I believe he may do a dry cleaner there as well. But he is, you know, initially when you Dunkin' Donuts, you know, you typically want to drive through, but he's realized that obviously that's one of the requirements that that's basically they're not allowing us to have. And we're fine with that.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay. And I have a question maybe for the city manager. Our transfer process when we first started the city, we had some sort of permit transfer process.
Yes, sir.
We had that in place, did we not?
We did, we, the way, and Rebecca can outline this a little bit better for me if I mess up, but the way it worked was, once we opened it up for transfer permits, it was, if you had a Gwinnett County issued permit, you had to send us the permit. If you were in plan review and you were on your third submittal, or, you know, mostly complete, then we honored your comments from those and then moved you through, and then all the way back down to like a first review. So if you were just starting the process, then we basically started over with us. But that just kind of answers your question.
Gotcha. Yeah, it does. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Any other questions for the applicant from the council? All right, thank you very much.
Thank you, appreciate it.
All right, so at this point, they have reserved a minute 40 for rebuttal. So at this point, I will go ahead and we will turn it over to anyone who would like to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-07178, SUP 2026-020310. All right, if you could state your name and your address, and you may start.
Appreciate that. My name is Kerry Rogers. I live at 5076 Trilogy Lane in Trilogy Park Subdivision. I'm living about half a mile from the proposed development. Myself and pretty much everybody that I know in our community is adamantly against this development. Traffic, obviously, number one. Probably number two is there are 3 gas stations within a mile of this current location. Don't feel that we have a need for it. Obviously, gas stations can cause lots of issues, obviously ground pollution. But if we go back to the survey that the young lady was talking about our area, it doesn't really line up with what the community has asked for. We're asking for small mom and pop things, more community space and things like that. The last thing we need is another gas station with bright lights and more noise and more traffic in our area. It's just gonna cause more problem for us. And we are totally against it, and we hope that the board will stick to the information that the planning people actually presented to you and deny this application.
All right, thank you, sir. All right, we have 8 minutes and 47 seconds left for anyone who'd like to speak in opposition. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition? And keep in mind, there's 8 minutes, 47 seconds left, so the best thing to do is usually pick the best, 2 to 3 people to speak.
Well, I'll be fast. My name is Julia Battle. I live at 1152 D Kennedy Road. I'm probably the closest to this property than anyone. And I just want to say that I ditto what Mr. Rogers said. I don't need to repeat everything that he just said, but that's exactly the way we feel, especially as far as the noise pollution, lights, traffic, everything there. And my big concern is that it's already such a difficult intersection, what that would do to it, and with the angle of the road that we're all familiar with, it makes it even more complicated. Would that be addressed? Would the road be straightened out? Would there be a traffic light? I think there's a lot of details there. So just want to, like I said, reiterate what Mr. Rogers said.
Thank you. All right, we have 7 minutes, 58 seconds.
And I don't have a pen. My name is Pat McQuiston. I live on Thomas Drive off of D. Kennedy. Excuse me. And how many gas stations do we need? There are 3 at Hamilton Mill. There are one across from Home Depot. There's one on Sprout Springs. There's one on the way to, I can't remember the name, by my daughter's house. There are 3 in 211. I mean, how many do we need?
All right, thank you, ma'am.
One by the schools.
All right, with 7 minutes, 24 seconds.
Good evening. My name is Frank Pastor. I live at 1366 Ashbury Parkway in Ashbury Park. I just have a brief statement. Thank you guys for allowing us to speak. My wife and I live in Ashbury Park off of Brazelton Highway and been there for 18 years. Over this period of time, we've sadly seen an excessive amount of commercialization of our area to include a number of convenience and gas stations. Prior to the formation of the city of Mulberry, Gwinnett County was not especially concerned with excessive construction or commercialization of the areas as we have seen over the recent years. So the formation of the city of Mulberry was a welcomed event for us. Our hope is that the city and its leaders will look out for the interests of the citizens of Mulberry and not simply rubber stamp applications for special use based on what Gwinnett County previously approved. I'm concerned and formally express my disapproval for the request for special use permit for the development of a convenience store with fuel pumps at 5215 Brazelton. My initial response is that this is unnecessary and not needed for the city. As others have stated, there's 15 convenience stores within 5 miles of this location. I won't name them all. I have a list if you need it. You probably already know. Of those 15, 7 are within 3 miles, 2 are within 2 miles of the location, and there's 6 gas stations already within that radius within the city itself. As such, our community would not benefit from any convenience store with fuel pumps. To be direct, it's unnecessary. In addition, the location of the proposed convenience store is at the top of the hill where traffic's already very busy. There's a blind spot for traffic in both directions, and having a convenience store there will only increase traffic in an already congested area, contributing to accidents, leading to the need for additional traffic lights, and further congest an already congested area. Earlier, they spoke about fuel trucks coming in. There's additional risks for that as well for accidents when it comes to that area of the intersection. Deceleration lane just creates another additional blind spot, so it's not really a solution in my mind. And also, we've seen in recent week, convenience stores are attracting a criminal element as well. 2 break-ins on August 2nd and 4th at Crazy Clouds Vape on 4610 Brazelton is right next door to a convenience store within the city. And lastly, convenience stores with fuel pumps bring environmental risks associated with underground storage tanks and their potential for leaking into the groundwater. While I know there's been advances in USTs and that technology, the risk remains. I want to thank you for your time.
Thank you very much. All right, there is 4 minutes, 49 seconds remaining. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition of this? Okay, come on up.
My name is Karen Duncan, and I have never been accused of being politically correct. So I think it's a stupid place to put a gas station. It makes no sense. And what he said about, being able to access the gas station from 124, was that correct? That Gwinnett County told him he couldn't do it?
We can't really answer questions, but.
Okay,
yeah.
well, I think that's what I heard him say. Gwinnett said you can't access it from 124, you can only access it from, D. Kennedy Road. If you do access it from 124, the biggest issue, and everybody's been talking about the traffic, which is crazy. Now, D. Kennedy Road is gonna be competing with people from the gas station trying to get out on 124. If we're trying to go left, they go left, they're in our way, we lose the opportunity to go. So it's just crazy, it's a dumb place to put a gas station. If he wants to put something there, I would suggest a small little building that has little office suites for an insurance company or something where there's not a lot of public traffic. I mean, he owns the piece of property, he can't let it sit there forever and keep paying taxes on it, I understand that, but, you know, he does not need a place to put, a place for the public to be in and out on a regular basis. It's not gonna work for a lot of people. Plus, has he looked into the fact that he might be losing some of his property? Because y'all told us at one time that the state was gonna put a roundabout there. And they can't take the property on the other side of the road because it's a big ditch. They're gonna have to come towards D. Kennedy and his lot. So has he even looked into that? Well, y'all don't know, I don't know either, but he needs to look into that. So anyway, that's all I have to say is, it's a lousy place for a gas station, for any public, for any business that's gonna have a large public going in and out of the business, a large amount of public.
All right, thank you, ma'am. All right, we have 1 minute and 46 seconds remaining. Is there anyone else who'd like to speak in opposition to this application? I should have asked this of the council. Does the council have any questions? Anyone who got up and spoke? I should have asked that probably after each individual. Does anyone have any questions? No? Okay. Last chance. Anyone else in opposition? All right, then I will go ahead and close the public hearing on case number SUP 2026-020310 for those who want to speak in opposition. The applicant has 1 minute and 46 seconds remaining. Would y'all like to come up for some rebuttal?
Yes, sir. We have made contact with Georgia DOT. They own the right of way on Highway 124. They are the ultimate decision maker. We have gotten all the permit. We've gone through all the proper channel, got the design and everything approved with DOT. So they approve us for the curb cut as shown on the previous plan. So we have consulted with them, and they have granted us permit to do so. And we know that there's traffic you can't really get away with, but we're here trying to propose some solutions, trying to help alleviate some of the problems. And so it's going to be traffic everywhere, but we are here. We are trying to provide some solution and potentially other solutions that might help with that area. I know the lady mentioned that, or the gentleman mentioned that there's a vape store that incentivizes criminal activities. One of your zoning condition, or one of the conditions for approval is no vape store. So that becomes null and void in my opinion. And also we'd like to say that here is an opportunity for the city to improve that intersection. We're willing to contribute the money to make that safer, a better solution for the city. I hope that mayor and council consider that strongly, because it is DOT.
Okay, that's time.
Yes, sir, thank you.
Is there any questions from the council for the applicant before we sit down? All right, thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you, guys.
I have just one question for staff before we discuss this. Ms. Kiefer, is Ms. Kiefer still in here?
Yeah.
Okay. Ms. Kiefer, this, just so I understand, so this property already has a C2 zoning, is that correct? So this is just for the fuel pumps?
Yes, you are correct. So there are C2 uses that are allowed by right. The fuel pump itself is not allowed by right. It's only allowed by special use permit. So there are commercial uses that can occur by right without any kind of additional action besides permitting.
Okay, so even if this council were to choose to deny this, there are still commercial uses that they are entitled to build?
That's correct.
Okay. Any other questions for staff or for anyone else?
I have one.
Yes.
Mr. Mayor, I was noticing in the, I think in the submittal from the contractor and the applicant, there's a comment, maybe this is for Mr. City Attorney, there's a, regarding the chronology of this, and there's a statement regarding Gwinnett. I mean, is it the stance of the city that the delay here was related to
So
Gwinnett?
this is where this gets a little complicated, and where we decided that this decision needs to go before you all. We reached out to Gwinnett County, and Gwinnett County said that per their permit, and for the record, I can submit this email, per their permitting process, they do not issue a permit until they give a permit in hand. And so they do that at the pre-construction meeting.
Mhm.
They changed their standards in 2023, somewhere in there. So when they started this process with Gwinnett County, fuel pumps were by right, they were not by SUP. When we adopted Gwinnett County's code, we adopted it as fuel pumps being per SUP. When we contacted Gwinnett County to see where they stood on this being issued or not, I have an email from the planning director, Chris, where they said that we went through the process, they revised their LDP, we never issued an LDP to them. Now, the applicant says that they went through the process, they got all the approvals, they were issued an LDP, but, you know, when we go to the neighboring jurisdiction, who says that they never gave them one, we asked for it to be produced, a paper version. They didn't receive it because they never had the pre-con, because Gwinnett County denied them the pre-con, right? So this is where it goes to, staff is at a standstill with the applicant, because this is just a judgment call that needs to be made by council.
Any other questions from the council? All right, thank you. Then hearing none, I will entertain a motion on this.
I will make a motion to deny ordinance 2026-07178 and SUP 2026-020310.
Second. We have a motion, we have a second. Is there any other discussion, gentlemen? All right, hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, the application fails, hereby denied. All right, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to public hearing, first read of ordinance 2026-08179, case number RZR 2026-071420. And we will turn it back over to
Mr.
staff.
Mayor, just can we request a recess for about 5 minutes? It's hot in here. I've been trying to fix the air, which is why I've been running around. I just want to be able to, if anybody wants to leave, they can. We can chat for a second, we can.
Sure.
But I think it's just getting a little humid in here.
Perfect. All right, it is, by my watch.
First time I've been comfortable in this room. What are you for?
All right, hold on, ladies and gentlemen, hold on. It's 7:38. We will reconvene at, what do you say, 7:50, 12 minutes? That give you enough time, or you need more than that?
Yes, sir.
All right, we'll reconvene. We're in recess for 12 minutes. Thank you. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to call this back to order. It's 7:51. I'm a minute late. I apologize. All right, we are going to move right on to public hearing. Ladies and gentlemen, if I can get your attention, please. We're going to move on to public hearing B, which is the first read of ordinance 2026-08179, case number RZR 2026.061420. Turn it over to staff. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor. The address of this request is at 1880 Holman Road, and the request is to rezone the parcel from RA 200 to RLL, that's residential large lot, and they are also requesting a concurrent variance to increase the lot coverage from 15% to 22%. The parcel in question is just under 5 acres in size, and Planning Commission reviewed the application at their July 21st meeting and recommended approval with staff's conditions. It is before you tonight for a public hearing and a first read, and the second read is scheduled, the second read and decision is scheduled for August 20th. Next slide. So identified as Exhibit A in the draft rezoning adopting ordinance is the site plan, and it proposes to split the lot into 4 parcels, and is proposed to be served by septic and Gwinnett County water. It is proposed to have a private drive down the center, and that is the one of the purposes of the lot coverage variance. Because that drive is on the lot, then that is helping it exceed the lot minimum. The size of the houses are proposed to be about 6,400 square feet each, and there is a stream there on the south rear end of the property that bisects a portion of those 2 southern lots. Next slide. The applicant has submitted and proposed some renderings. We did note in the staff report that while they are identified as exhibits in the proposed adopting ordinance, that the applicant would still be required to comply with the architectural regulations if should there be anything that's not consistent in these renderings. Next slide. And here's another rendering, and another. In the application, there are some other exhibits, a soil map. Again, this would more so be relevant. This is part of their decisions about what's feasible on the site, but would be more relevant during the land disturbance permit process. Next slide. And a survey of that stream and the affiliated buffer, both an undisturbed buffer as well as a non-encroachment buffer there closer to the stream. Next slide. So staff did a review of the criteria in the ordinance, and in particular the criteria related to the comprehensive plan. We talked about that tonight, how important that is in considering rezoning decisions. So the property is on a boundary area, workforce center light, traditional neighborhood, residential. And you might recall when we did the interim comprehensive plan, just to kind of be able to, while we were drafting and doing the full-scale comprehensive plan process, that we wanted to be able to have something to guide these decisions, but did not have the time in kind of initial cityhood to really delve into what specific character areas are appropriate parcel by parcel. And so we had written in there some transitional provisions to help guide if there are some parcels on the transition boundary areas that we could consider the adjacent context and or kind of the least intensive of those boundary conditions. And so considering that executive residential, this request does meet and kind of forward those executive residential characteristics in that character area. So, and it serves as kind of a compatible transition from those greater intensity areas. So staff has recommended approval with conditions. These are the same, the first 6 conditions are the same conditions that Planning Commission had reviewed compliant with the site plan, with the elevations, various easements to protect future homeowners from, any one homeowner having to bear the onus of the cost of the road maintenance. And, but some of the commentary at the planning commission, meeting involved some concern for, buffering of the adjacent properties. And so staff did add in condition 7 related to maintaining an undisturbed buffer, so that some of that visual, buffer for those adjacent neighbors is, remains undisturbed, with some, requirements in perpetuity. Then we've got the concurrent variance. Staff recommends approval for that as well. But we have in the condition limited that to the existing proposed impervious on those lots, so that they're not just kind of able to go wholesale on 22.5 on all the lots. So with that, that concludes our presentation. Thank you.
Any questions for staff from the council?
Just a couple, Mr. Mayor. On the, can you go back to the site plan of the 4 units? What is the, I guess, the front door of those structures? Is it all facing towards Holman Road?
So that you might have to ask the applicant, but I believe they are fronting the, at least these rear 2 are fronting the driveway, but the applicant, because they're, just kind of boxes right now, I don't know that we've anticipated that.
Yeah, I think the comment I would make is that sometimes we see in these scenarios where we're taking a single lot and trying to carve out additional, homes, that the placement of the homes in terms of how they face, it kind of makes a material difference, because sometimes in hindsight, you're like, that's super peculiar, why did they get it that way? So that'd be a question. I guess those are, the other item I would ask is about tree canopy. Is there significant tree canopy off of Holman Road currently on the site?
Yeah, it's pretty wooded today.
And so based on what we just said with respect to the, kind of our comp plan and feedback we've gotten about saving canopy and being very cognizant of that, how much of that canopy gets saved?
So the buffer, everything from the dotted line, they're not gonna be able to encroach. The condition that we added, it does, would preserve 10 feet on the 2 perpendicular property lines to Holman Road. But anything kind of within the buildable area, could be removed. Now, there could be more intensive conditions that we could propose where it's much more limited. So we could work on, between now and second read, work on crafting something that protects many more trees.
Yeah, that'd be my feedback. It's just anytime I think we can, particularly we got some beautiful, kind of properties in and around, anytime we could save some of that.
Yeah, I think specifically for this property, just looking at an aerial view of it, it's all woods, so as much as can be conserved as possible would be great.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe even challenging the 10-foot.
Sure. Yeah, we'll work with the applicant on what is truly necessary and develop a condition.
Yeah, and I think the posture of those residences, kind of how they face. I mean, the renderings I saw, but I'd just be curious what the, kind of situation is on the site plan of how they face or orientated to the driveways.
Okay.
Any other questions for staff?
Yeah, just a quick one. Seems like when we were doing zoning reviews and stuff after getting them from Gwinnett County, we had a lot of requirements for high-pitched roofs. And these all look flat. Do they fit, that design even fit within our regulations?
And they might not. We have not conducted a review of that yet. So that'll be during building permit that they'll have to demonstrate that they meet the roof pitch requirements.
And the applicant can explain this, but I heard this already at planning commission, right? So they'll be able to kind of tell you that this is what they put together. This is the part of the process for architectural standards that come after zoning, and they would have to comply with any standards. This is not a rendering for them to be conditioned to go to. This is just the start of the process for zoning to kind of show you the style that they're willing to work with.
And to that end, if we wanted to, if the direction from you is that you wanted to depart pretty significantly from what they have done, if there's a particular style or type of material, we can craft a condition, that might be above and beyond the architectural standards in lieu of conditioning it to those architectural renderings.
Any other, council questions?
Just one comment maybe on the pitch. I know this came up, so I'll bring it up with the pitch when we were talking about the equestrian overlay district. So the pitch, the architectural kind of discussions we sometimes have on unintended consequences, and one of those was in the equestrian overlay, we had a very low slope pitch on the barn structures, which kind of creates a little wonky, kind of look. So we corrected that to give a little bit more latitude for the architects and the folks coming in. So I would say we need to be cognizant of that as we go forward too.
Certainly.
Yes, sir.
And if I recall, I think when we introduced the architectural regulations, we had some similar adjustments too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Any other questions? All right, ladies and gentlemen, we have a public hearing for this first read of ordinance 2026-08179. It'll be the same as we did before. There'll be 10 minutes for those that want to speak in favor of this case, and then 10 for those that want to speak in opposition. So at this point, I will go ahead and open up the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor of 2026-08179, case number RZR 2026-061420. Is the applicant here this evening? All right, perfect. Would you like to speak?
If I may.
Absolutely. I'll go
Yeah,
ahead.
so my name is Rajiv Shah. Good evening, Mayor and Council. And, yeah, so there was a question. I think the houses right now would be facing the Holden Street. We're just gonna, it'll be based on the requirements and so on. I also totally understand the fact we gave the renderings. These are not the final architectural renderings. We're looking for modern, contemporary, or transitional homes. So it could have a roof page. It's just a build is going to be something similar to this. And I'm not a developer. I'm actually from Texas. This is from my family, so it's all family here. All 4 houses are my family. Looking to retire in the city of Mulberry here. So I'm 53, a few more years left. My sister's already over here, and we're looking to move to this beautiful place and retire over here. So.
All right, thank you. All right, I'll go ahead and, is there anyone else here who'd like to speak in favor of this application? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those that want to speak in favor of ordinance 2026-08179, case number RZR 2026-061420. Is there anyone who would like to speak in opposition of this application?
My name's already on there, so I'll have to write it down. Kerry Rogers, 5076 Trilogy Lane, Houston, Georgia. Not necessarily in opposition, it was just something that was brought up. I know you can't respond to it, but maybe the planning commission can as well. I believe I heard them saying they're gonna be putting it on a septic. And by looking at the lines there, you have a stream right at the back of that. I would like them to consider maybe putting them on sewer, because I thought we were getting away from septic tanks in Gwinnett County in general, so that would be my only thought.
Thank you, sir. All right, there is 9 minutes and 38 seconds for anyone else who would like to speak in opposition to this application. Is there anyone else who would like to speak in opposition of this application? All right, hearing none, I will go ahead and close the public hearing for those that want to speak in opposition. Sir, technically you have time if you want to do a rebuttal. It's up to you. If you'd like to get up and speak, or you can leave it as is as the applicant.
No, yeah, I think we want to be part of the community, so we will meet all the requirements. I think it's a beautiful piece. I heard about the canopies. We don't intend to cut down the trees. We'll retain as much trees as we can, and outside the building area. Those are the only comments I wanted to make.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks.
All right, at this time, I will close the public hearing for both those that want to speak in favor and those that want to speak in opposition of ordinance 2026-08179, case number RZR 2026-061420. As this is a first read, this will conclude this matter for now, and it will come back up on, Ms. Kiefer, what date?
August 20th.
August 20th for a vote. All right. Moving right along, that brings us to item N, first read of an ordinance 2026-08180, an ordinance to amend section of chapter 2, administration of the city of Mulberry, authorizing the marshal's office to enforce traffic laws and right-of-ways, repealing all conflicting ordinances, and setting an effective date.
Very briefly,
This is the original ordinance that we had for the marshal's office with some more clarifying language on it. The language in the original ordinance actually gave them post-certified powers, but we have boiled it down a little bit more, and so what it states that they have the right to enforce all the penal statutes and the codes of the state of Georgia and the federal government, and as well as all the ordinances of the city. Basically, there are the drivers of this are that we have, as I think the council member and I know, we have 35-mile-an-hour e-bikes doing wheelies down Brazelton Highway, and the police want to make sure that that we have our statutes are clear when they try to pull them over and call their parents to come get those bikes, and that's one of the pieces of it. And of course, our the high school that was the source of problems this morning had the new principal had already asked our chief and his officers to come and walk the high school and become familiar with it, because they will be the force multiplier at the schools. On this side of the expressway, you have 3 resource officers for the 3 schools. On the other side of the expressway, you only have 1. We would be the first force multiplier even before the resource officers on this side to get to the other side of the highway for that school. And we all know the problems that we have associated with that. And this just clarifies their ability to do that. And so that's the purpose of where we are today.
Any questions for the city attorney from the council on this ordinance?
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
City attorney, sir. That doesn't, I mean, you're giving them more power than they have. Does that mean we're converting them into a police force?
No,
straight
sir.
up?
No, sir. I'd like to add a little bit of color to this, if you don't mind. So when we discussed this with Gwinnett PD, as well as you all started talking about the e-bike situation, Gwinnett PD is working on something to handle it inside of the parks as far as how to address the e-bikes. But in that conversation with their PIO and everyone else, we realized that they already had those powers if they were to stop them. So this now gives the marshals the ability, just because of the fact that we just updated the ordinance. So now if a marshal is out there, they're post-certified, and they see a kid popping a wheelie on Hog Mountain, then they can now turn on their blue lights and tell them they need to stop. We are also working on rolling out a public information campaign. I think you all were notified about this earlier this week as part of the Mulberry Minute. That will be our segment this week. Sorry, I wanted to let that out early. But and then we also have some additional stuff coming on our website as far as the public information portion. So when you all asked us to come back with the ordinance on how to address this, because we are here on Monday through Friday, 8 to 5, and our guys are constantly out on the road a little bit more than Gwinnett PD, this gives them the ability to, if they see something, stop someone and, just kind of just let them know the dangers of riding at high speeds, in a highly trafficked area.
I just kind of wrapping my head around it. So, and I get all what you said. That makes a lot of sense. I'm glad to hear it. But if there's a robbery, is our marshals going to respond now, or is it Gwinnett PD?
It's still going to be Gwinnett PD.
Okay.
But our officers will be the force multiplier.
They can join with.
They can join, right?
Okay.
So where this is at currently is that they are post-certified, right? They are a law enforcement agency. Where we are is this is still Gwinnett County PD's jurisdiction. And this just gives us the ability for where, and I hate to use this example because of things that have happened recently, but if there were a situation to happen at the school right now, we'd be the first people there, but we couldn't do anything.
Right,
And our
right.
guys have the same level of training,
Yeah.
right? All because of the fact that we own the entire right of way and we're on both sides of the street, but we wouldn't have that inside of an ordinance for us to be able to have that ability to do anything as far as traffic or anything of that nature, or the ability to go inside the school without the school's permission. The school has offered to let us in, but we still needed that extra thing inside of our ordinance to allow to do it. That has not changed our relationship with Gwinnett County currently.
Okay.
This just literally says, you know, we have the ability to do these small things, address the e-bike situation, and go from there.
Cool, okay.
Any other questions from the council? All right, thank you, Mr. City Attorney. That will conclude the first read of ordinance 2026-08-181. All right, moving right along, I'm sorry, I misspoke. That'll conclude the first read of ordinance 2026-08-180. That will bring us to first read B, first read of ordinance 2026-08-181, an agreement granting a franchise to the city of Beaufort for the use of public streets, alleys, and public right-of-ways for gas services. Go ahead.
Hi.
City Manager.
Hello, Mayor and Council. So, any utility that's inside of our right of way, they have to come and propose this agreement. This is again, pretty standard, so they know what their rights are and know what their access are. This is for an annual fee, from the utility provider, not a monthly fee. You all have a copy of the agreement inside your packet, and I'm available for any questions if you have any, between here and the second reading.
Seems like we've been down this road before with franchise fees.
Yeah.
Beaufort gonna put it on the bill, and are we gonna get just the whole town in an uproar over $10 charges a month?
So, we have had this discussion, I've had the discussion with their city manager, the mayor's had discussion with, Mr. Chairman, and, that is not the case from our understanding.
I think it would behoove us to put it in the agreement, though. I mean, that it's not gonna be passed on to the residents on their bills. I mean, obviously, like I said, we felt like we got.
I'm sorry, I was asking legal counsel. We gotta go back to that. I'm pretty sure, I think we did that, but I may have to go back and double check it. There's a lot of documents that come across my
I think
desk.
go back and check. We can go back. Because again, and shame on me, right, or shame on whoever, but, obviously, we were very surprised to find the last time we did this, that everybody's power bills went up, right? And I mean, we're a new city, we're learning, and so, it is what it is, and so, fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice, shame on me, right?
Absolutely.
So, let's make sure that's locked in here, and we're not gonna run into the same problem, so, that's my
Absolutely.
request. Any other questions from the council? All right, then that will conclude the first read of ordinance 2026-08-181. That will bring us to item O, second reads. Item P, discussion items. PA, Public Safety Advisory Committee report from the committee chairman, Councilman Doug Ingram. So I will turn it over to Councilman Ingram to discuss his findings in the Public Safety Advisory Committee.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. May we pull up the presentation? I think, I'll just have you tab through, if I may, is that okay? I don't know. What do you think? Yeah? Okay. All right. Is that okay, Mr. Mayor, if I present from the back? Might just be easier to walk through it with everybody. I can also advance it if you want me to. Yeah, let me just back there. Nobody noticed we were mined back here, so we'll be very careful to not mess up the audio.
It's like a Mr. Beast game.
It really is. I'll come back.
Catch it down.
Thank you. All right, good evening, council. Thank you for allowing me to present the findings from our Public Safety Advisory Committee meetings. So just to provide a little bit of a backdrop, let me start with maybe a quote that I think would be apropos. And I know we have many on here as the inaugural council from Mulberry. We take very seriously our duties to the city. And a couple of things struck me as we were talking today. One is that, there was a quote, I think it's attributed to Alexander Hamilton, And the quote reads, "The first duty of government is to protect the people." And I know we take that seriously. And we see that every day. We're blessed to have a Marshal's Department led by some great folks, and we're also blessed to have Gwinnett County PD. And so we appreciate them. The other thing that strikes me, before I talk a little bit about our Public Safety Advisory Committee actions and what we've done, is that in the information that was presented by Mrs. Kiefer in the solicitations of the citizens of Mulberry, a couple things popped up. On the word cloud, the word safety was very pronounced. Is that accurate? Is Ms. Kiefer in here? So the word safety, I think, was probably super pronounced in there. And so obviously it's important to our citizens. And the second thing that struck me is when they talked about what was reasons that they would want to live and reside in Mulberry. The two words that were up there were safe, feel. So they want to be safe. And we can all, I think, feel that. We have kids, grandkids, children, neighbors, and people we care about that we want to see safe and going about their daily lives. So we established several committees. One of the committees was a Public Safety Advisory Committee. The purpose of the committee was really to take a look at the Mulberry, at the state of public safety in Mulberry, to look at data, so to not take a bias or not to take an approach that was focused on our opinions, but rather to take a very data-driven approach and just to see where we stood. And so if I advance this, is it this way?
Just click on the right hand side.
Okay, gotcha. So the focus of this was, and I'll just kind of go through this. I'm not going to be up here too long because I know it's a hot room and we're probably ready to leave. But I think the work of the committee needs to be talked about, and I think it's some good work that's been done by my fellow citizens. But the work of the city Public Safety Committee was really to take a look at the current state of public safety in Mulberry, recognizing that we live in a county that is the second most populous county in the state of Georgia. It's actually one of the 50 most populous counties in the United States. That's a pretty staggering statistic if you think about the size of the United States, and we are one of the largest cities in that county, if not the largest at this from a landmass perspective. So we need to take this very seriously. We established a committee of 8 folks, myself included, and I'll talk more about that. Again, the purpose was to gather and analyze data, to not have a biased approach, but rather to take a very data-driven approach. And then lastly, it was to question and really discuss what we found, to look and say, what does this mean for long-term public safety in the city of Mulberry? And then to evaluate those options to come up with a framework that made sense. The committee members that were involved, Chief Robert Jones, who's in the back there, amazing contribution to the committee, and I appreciate your work, Chief. Mr. Brian Lappert, who's here with us as well. Thank you, Brian. D'Amica Hawkins, Mr. Jack Pendergrass, Mr. David Black, Mrs. Stephanie Atkins, Mayor Pro Tem Michael Rudnick, and then myself as the chairman, trying to help advise and kind of move us forward. The very first action that we took, and this may be hard to read, so I'm not going to get deep into this, but I would at least want to highlight this a little bit because this, I think, speaks to the approach of trying to be very data-driven. The very first thing the committee did is we pulled 2025 calls for service. So we had 25,868 calls for service in what is Mulberry. And you can see the zones listed there. 431 is effectively Hamilton Mill area, so that's right off the interstate. And then you can see going down 124 into zone 432. You'll see that about 50%, so 49.7% of our calls for service were in zone 431 and 432. And that's an important item to remember as we go forward. The other thing that we did through the work of a really skilled committee member, he actually took the data that we had, which had information on latitude and longitude of every service call, and he mapped it into a heat map that provided us with a good idea of where the types of priority calls were occurring. And when we say priority calls, obviously some calls such as domestic matters that require 2 officers are a little bit more significant than maybe another call that is maybe just a proactive policing call. We then broke down the data, and the data was taken to look at where do we have information coming in to us that is, how are the calls distributed? So this shows the call distribution. The far left side of that bar chart there is midnight, and the far right side is 2300, so 11 p.m. So that shows you you get a surge in the afternoon hours. So again, our objective here was trying to get data to really understand what we're seeing. We also took a look at what the taxonomy is, if you will, of the types of calls that were coming in. And we wanted to look at how much of our activity that we're doing in the city is proactive policing. So it's just folks just out on patrol looking for potential things, being of service to the community, versus how much is reactive. We found about 25 to 35% of the calls were proactive based, and the rest were in response to citizens calling 911. We then went into a wonderful document that was presented. Again, this is about 4 weeks of activity, so I'm going through in a relatively fast clip just for purposes of time with council. We went into what was a kind of an executive summary by the chief that highlighted the threat matrix that we might encounter in the city of Mulberry, that we are encountering in the city of Mulberry. And the two things that popped up highest on the threat matrix were narcotics and drug trafficking and gang activity. And I think we have to let that sit just for a moment, because I don't think it really hit me. I've been here, many years with my kids, have raised a family here. My oldest is now 20. And I don't think I fully appreciated the drug and narcotics trafficking as much as after I spoke with the chief and understood we have an interstate corridor running right through the middle of our city. If you think about the 29 square miles that are encapsulating the city, we have a major artery that runs right through it that connects Charlotte, Atlanta, and other places. And we've seen this. I mean, if anybody's followed, I won't go through the chronology of the crime that we've seen happening off the interstate. We've had some murders. We've had a few things happen. And I don't say that for, to get anybody scared. It's just a factual statement that we have an interstate running through our city, and that causes our threat matrix to elevate, because we have people outside of the city that are traveling through our city. And sometimes those folks don't always have the best intentions, and we need to be mindful of that. Gang activity obviously follows, and that was also highlighted as two of the top items on that threat matrix. The last item here was, and again, let me say super clearly when I present the data is just what it is, right? It's just data, and the council, at the conclusion of this, my hope is that you'll take the information and that you'll, kind of think through it, and we'll arrive at some conclusions and a direction forward. But one of the things that I think is very important is that we did a freedom of information request. So again, our job is just to get some data so that we can make some good decisions for the city and for its citizens. One of the things that we found, and I am a huge proponent of law enforcement, particularly Gwinnett County Police Department. So let me just say that right off the bat. I have no bad things to say about them, and I think most people hopefully in the room with me today have had good experiences. One of the movers for the city of Mulberry's creation was we felt we wanted to have some local representation. At least for me, I think that was, I felt like I could, a government closest and nearest to the people, sometimes the best government. I think sometimes we know our challenges better than someone that may live in Snellville, for instance, or some other municipality. And so one of the things that we found that was a little interesting to me was we pulled some data, some freedom of information request data to get a perspective on how much coverage we had, officer personnel coverage we had during the shifts in the city of Mulberry, recognizing the city of Mulberry covers approximately 29 square miles. And what we found is we had the data, again, this is just the data, it shows that we had approximately 3 to 4 officers, 3.5 officers on shift, each shift in the city of Mulberry. We also found that about 80% of the call volume being responded to is coming from the East Precinct, East Precinct being on the other side of Decula, close to Harvard's Road. So I don't know if you guys know how long it might take us to go from City of Mulberry here in 421 and 431, which is that 124 corridor where we get most of the traffic. But that drive time from I-85 back to East Precinct is probably gonna take you 20 minutes, 15 minutes, something like that. I mean, it's not a short drive. And most of the call volume being directed into Mulberry is coming from East Precinct. Again, Gwinnett County does an amazing job. I don't have any animus, and this is not an indictment on them. It's just a resource issue, right? They have other needs in other parts of the counties, and they direct resources as they see appropriate. We today have a 3.5 FTE count on shift in the 29 square miles. That's what the data shows. What it also shows is we plugged in data regarding population trending, growth characteristics, median income, real estate prices, a lot of data. And we found that other municipalities like municipalities, and we looked at their officer coverage per shift. What you see in green is officer coverage per shift, ranges from low in the kind of 10 range up to, in Fishers, Indiana, up to like 20, 26 personnel per shift. So we're not a little bit away, we're a lot away. Even if you use the last metric, which is 10 officers, we're 6.5 officers away. I think that's an important metric, and we need to kind of think through that a little bit. And that's what we talked about on the committee. Now for council, one of the other items is how much are we paying today? I think this is an important point as well. So our tax digest, as we all know, we all have property tax bills that seem to sometimes elevate, and 2.9 mils, so $2.9 per thousand of assessed value is going to this function today. So we spend $9.955 million out of our tax dollars in Mulberry to pay for the current coverage we receive in our policing activities. Again, just data, there's no opinion on this, it's just factual that we need to be aware of. What we then did is we looked and we talked with Chief, we ran through some models. This is actually a fairly sophisticated queuing model that's used by call centers, emergency services, dispatch personnel, etc. And we looked at the data and we said, well, if we use some of these models, what does dispatch, what does personnel, what does response time look like? Let's use all the things that are captured in a model and start to get a feel for what cost might look like using some well-established metrics that have come out of the FBI, federal law enforcement, as well as the chief's own experience. And so you can kind of see the data there of what a coverage basis of about 1.9 sworn per thousand residents looks like, 1.8 officers per square mile. There's a number there. We don't need to talk about the number here, but what you can see is there's a $7 million number there for a certain amount of officers. Now that does not mean that that is the final. There's certainly a lot of ancillary costs, as I've talked with the city manager and others, but it's at least important for us to notate, what a function like that costs if we were to have more coverage. So we went through this kind of in a very significant way with the committee, and we asked ourselves a lot of questions. The next question we asked ourselves was using this data, what options might exist for the city of Mulberry if we were to, and it doesn't mean today, it's just what options are available. And there's some that are probably pretty outlandish and there's some that are not. But we came up with really 3 options. One was, do we establish a municipal police department? Is that on the roadmap for Mulberry? That was one option. Second was, do we continue our existing arrangement with Gwinnett County Police Department? Or the third option is, do we envision a scenario where we have the Gwinnett County Police Department currently as they exist today, and do we have an expansion of the Mulberry's Marshal Service? Recognizing the Marshal Service is paid for out of the tax proceeds of the city, right? Out of existing budgets. It's not coming out at 2.9 mils. The 2.9 mils would stay with GCPD, and then we would have to pay for an expansion of that Marshal Service. So those are the 3 kind of options. And then we wanted to come up with an evaluation framework. This is really important, I think, for a number of the committee members because it's hard sometimes. We wanted to have, again, a more quantitative approach, right? We just wanted to have a data-driven approach that took a little bit of the opinion out of it and just made it more about numbers and scoring. And so the evaluation framework was really threefold. And we have a lot of data on the evaluation framework, but I'll give kind of the short version. The short version was, what is the public safety impact of this decision? So again, we have three options: municipal, police department, remaining as we are today, or having Gwinnett County with an expansion of marshals. And then across those three options, there was a score. So every committee member, there were 8 committee members in total. Every committee member gave a score of 1 to 5. 1 being lowest, not good, 5 being best. And so we did that in the public safety impact. So for instance, if we choose this option, what is our belief in what it does for the public safety? Does it, 1, do nothing and it's actually really bad? Or 5, does it do something very, very favorable for the city? And so that was kind of the way the scoring criteria worked. Same thing with economic impact, recognizing that, as we've seen with our comp plan and a lot of others, people move into places where they feel safe and they want to feel safe. And then lastly, implementation viability. And implementation viability meaning, can we actually do this? Like, is there the pathway? Is there an established framework? Do we have the people? Do we have the talent to execute the plan? And so those were the 3 frameworks we used, and then we weighted each of those areas in a way that could kind of lend to the importance of the decision we were making in those 3 areas. So for instance, public safety impact was quite heavily weighted. It had a 45% weight. Economic impact and implementation viability had lesser. We're still quite significant. I think we had a, maybe, Naomi, I don't know if you can help me on economic impact. I think our weighting was 30%, and then it was 25% for implementation viability. So 45, 30, 25 was the weighting. And then before I show you the scoring, you're going to see the scoring. I want to show you one quick item that was kind of talked about earlier. And am I able to click on this?
Yes. Should be able to.
So I'm going to show you something that was mentioned here that concerns me. And this was, can I pop it up? Okay. So before I show this real quick, yeah, it's going to be smaller. There was a gentleman here that mentioned a robbery that occurred, but the robbery occurred August 2nd on Brazelton Highway, and then occurred less than 48 hours later. Again, the same place. So you're going to see a plywood, which is the first robbery into this location that is in the city of Mulberry, and 48 hours later. Now that's against no one, but that's a fact that, you know, the reason we do public safety is because these things do happen, and sometimes you don't know they're happening until it's right on your doorstep. So I'll just play this real quick. Is there volume on this by chance? Yeah. So you'll see it's going to be still frame for a second. That's okay. There's some really good audio in here about them trying to figure out what they're going to do. They're debating, oh man, these guys just got robbed. Let's go rob them again. And then you're going to see, you know, you'll see them throw a brick through. Again, right on Brazelton Highway. And they storm through, and they, you know, wipe out the small business owner that probably just filed an insurance claim 48 hours earlier. And he's getting nailed again. He's still got plywood on his door from the first time whoever robbed him. Maybe these guys are the same guys, I don't know. So anyway, you see him go through, they rob him. It's 2 o'clock in the morning. It just happened. It was August 4th, happened previously on August 2nd. I guess the thing that we just need to be aware of is, just like traffic, we were just discussing traffic, like, man, how did traffic get this bad? Well, traffic didn't get this bad overnight, right? Traffic got this bad through decisions that were made that then allowed us to look a decade later and find out, like, man, we should have taken some different paths. And what I think about, and to council for your consideration, is when we think about public safety, I certainly don't want to be in a position where we're thinking, man, how do we let it get this bad? But instead, we take a proactive posture. And so what I would say, Joy, if you could help me share the...
Drag the screen back up, and there should be an open tab for
perfect.
PowerPoint. Yep.
Fantastic,
And then,
thank you.
Yep.
So the final scoring was this. So these were the options that were presented to the committee. These show each of the scores in the area. So from the left to right is the scoring criteria. So public safety, economic impact, implementation viability. Moving vertically down are the options: creation of municipal police department, maintain current status with Gwinnett County Police Department, and then also Gwinnett County Police Department and expansion of Mulberry's Marshal Services. And you can see the scoring. I won't go through every score. What I would say is there was a measurable response in the committee's thoughts around what a local municipal police department might do for public safety. And I think that is related to this idea of proactive policing. So we looked at some other municipalities. We looked at Johns Creek, for instance. They have not a huge amount of officers for the square mileage, but they have about 65% of what they call proactive policing. So this is just their officers out patrolling around, trying to be a presence in the community and trying to dissuade crime. And certainly that, I think, shows favorably in what the city's done in their crime rate. So that's the scoring. I think I'll conclude with that, council. That was the efforts of our Public Safety Committee to date. We will continue to meet, to update, and to collaborate. I really appreciate Mr. Lapper, Chief Jones, and the rest of the committee members, because they've given very judiciously with their time to taking time out of their work weeks and busy lives to participate on behalf of the city of Mulberry, and happy to entertain any questions.
Any questions for the chairman about his presentation from the council? I just want to say thank you, echo your sentiment, to you and the rest of the committee. Clearly you guys put a lot of time and effort into this, and there's a lot of data. It looks like you synthesize, and so we appreciate that. I think it gives us a lot to think about, a lot to go talk to our constituents about, and kind of see what that entails.
Yeah, I think you're right, Mr. Mayor. I think that's probably the last thought I would leave with is I think we just need to talk with the constituents and share data and figure out what their thoughts are, and is this a viable path. I would say on the surface, after talking with the city manager, after talking with Chief Jones and others, certainly we're a big city now, and the amount of money that we pay is not insignificant, and that amount of money buys a certain capability that I think deserves some time and exploration and talking with our constituents.
Awesome. Thank you. Thank you, Chairman. All right, that will conclude the item PA, the Public Safety Advisory Committee report from the committee chairman. That'll bring us to action items Q. First, I don't know why it goes B then A, but we'll start with B first. Intergovernmental agreement with Gwinnett County Planning and Development for permitting county projects on county property inside the city of Mulberry.
I will make this super quick. I am thankful for our legal department. They went back and worked out a deal with Gwinnett County's legal department, and the agreement for the planning department to be able to work on county property includes everything that you all were looking for, and we would like for you to move forward with IGA.
Any questions for the city manager about this intergovernmental agreement?
I know we want to get out of here, so I'm just
No, you're fine. There was no way I was getting out of there that fast.
No, you don't have to. It truly fixes any of the areas that we had concern about.
That's correct.
If you look here, I made them outline every single
Okay.
thing they said is an essential service, and they all fit as essential
Okay,
services.
perfect. So you're comfortable that it
Yes,
fixes?
sir.
Gotcha.
And we also
Perfect.
excluded any residential.
Understood. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions? All right, then hearing none, I will make a motion to adopt the intergovernmental agreement for reviewing, inspecting, and permitting Gwinnett County construction projects in the city of Mulberry. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, the agreement between the county and the city of Mulberry for reviewing, permitting, and inspecting is hereby adopted.
Thank you all.
All right, we're moving right along. That'll bring us to action item QA, Downtown Development Authority Board Member Appointments presented by the mayor to the council. Ladies and gentlemen, we had had a meeting where we had discussed at our last meeting about the start of a Downtown Development Authority. One of the most common responses that we got in response to polling that we did is that everybody was like, we'd love a spot where we could gather and get together, have nice little restaurants and shops and whatever. So we want to put together a board of people to explore that, just like Councilman Ingram did with public safety, a DDA, that if that's something that's in our future, they could take a look at that. I came up with a list I asked for submissions and recommendations from my fellow councilmen for individuals, and after going through those individuals and reviewing them and giving, basically interviewing them and talking with them, I came up with a list of 7 individuals. I'm not going to go through all of their backgrounds. The council has received this already. But my recommendations are the following 7 individuals. The first is a gentleman by the name of Chris Dyer, who's an industrial automation professional with Craftwork Controls in Duluth. One of our very own, Councilman Doug Ingram, who has extensive knowledge through his companies, including QLogic, which is a healthcare technology company that he has. My third recommendation is Dr. Corey Mansauer, MD. He is an anesthesiologist and pain management physician with Ace Pain and Spine. Number 4 is Erin Reiser. She is the owner of Ula Bowls Hamilton Mill, which will be a business that will be in the downtown development area. Mary Smith, who is the owner of L&L Hawaiian Barbecue, which will be another business that will be in the DDA footprint. William Bill Smith, he is the owner of Smith Law. He's an attorney, graduate of Duke University with a law degree from Mercer. He's also a certified NFL Players Association agent. He represents NFL players right here in our city, which is kind of cool. And then my 7th recommendation is a Mulberry resident that many people are familiar with, which is Mr. Jeff Timler. Jeff Timler is the managing partner of Mighty Ave Media. But more importantly, he was served as the city of Snellville city manager. So he has extensive city management experience and also has experience with DDA. So those are my 7 recommendations. I am open to the council's, that's my presentation as far as those individuals, open to their discussion. My only request is 2 things. One, if you are so moved to approve these individuals, that we include them. We do need to assign each of those individuals a term. The terms are 3 of the individuals will be given 6 years, 2 will be a 4-year term, and then 2 will be a 2-year term. And then it is my understanding, I didn't see anything, that we also need to approve the map that's proposed, and I don't believe there's been any changes to that map.
There have been. So we do have some changes for the map. We thought we'd have it ready by today, but there's just a lot going on.
Okay, then let's I guess.
If we could, all we really need to do is describe the changes to the map as they were before, and we will conform the map to the changes that have been described that you have adopted, and I will bring you a conformed resolution with the changed map and with the names of these people and in the slots that you appoint them to in a document that will reflect what you voted on, and then you can sign it.
Okay, so let's before we get to the motion, let's discuss the terms. So we need 3 individuals to serve a 6-year term. Does the council have any preference as to which of the individuals will serve a 6-year term?
Did you speak with any of the individuals about it, Trevor?
I spoke with all of them. They all are willing to serve. I told them the terms would vary anywhere from 2 to 6 years, and they all said we would be more than happy to serve whatever term you would recommend for each individual.
Well, I would put Timler on 6 years. He seems to be the SME.
Okay, so we have a request, maybe put Mr. Timler, the former city manager, for a 6-year term. I was gonna recommend Councilman Ingram also have a 6-year term. I mean, obviously, we're term limited, so we'll potentially be out, so, you know, I would maybe consider, that. I don't know what y'all's thoughts on that would be.
Yeah, I'd be fine with that.
Councilman Ingram, are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, I'm comfortable with whatever
Okay.
you choose, at your discretion, Mr. Chair.
Okay, so we have a 6-year term for Councilman Ingram. We need one more individual to serve a 6-year term.
I'm thinking Mary, because they do have that established business here. I'm thinking on here.
Okay, we have a request for Mary Smith, owner of L&L Hawaiian Barbecue. Are you comfortable with that? Okay, well, per Councilman Shields, we'll assign her the last 6-year term. All right, we need 2 individuals to serve a 4-year term.
There'll be one more business owner and one more resident. Maybe put Aaron as a 4-year term, and either Chris or Corey, Dr. Mansauer.
Dyer's been here, right? I know him. He's been here a long time.
Okay, Councilman Shields has recommended Chris Dyer as a 4-year term, so that will leave the William Smith and Dr. Corey Mansauer with 2-year terms. Okay, so you're gonna draft a new ordinance, that you don't want me to go and fill this one in and sign it?
You just gonna vote on how you've named this already, and we will conform it with, typewritten and bring it to you.
Okay. And do you wanna describe the changes to the map?
I will read out the parcels that we are removing by their address.
Okay.
And so the parcels that we are removing are 2946 Hamilton Mill Road, 2898 Hamilton Mill Road. This looks like 27 Puckett's Mill, 452 Puckett's Mill, 996 Puckett's Mill, and 997 Puckett's Mill. A lot of these are currently in transient for rezoning. They don't have addresses. These are the end of what we have for the parcel identification numbers. And so that's how we're identifying them. Some of them were mixed with the addresses, but we've identified these parcels. We're currently in the process of removing them on the map and getting that map over to you all.
It sounds like obviously most of those are in Councilman Sullivan's district.
Yeah,
Are you
that's all
agree with
good.
that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Just rough draft before you make it official, so I can confirm. But yeah, I mean, they're building houses on 3 of those lots now.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Then is there any other discussion before I make a motion?
I think Bill has a question.
It would not be a rough draft, council member.
Okay.
So what I would suggest is you make the motion to adopt with the names as you've been previously presented in the positions and time and length of service that you've already described, and the previous map that was presented with the deletions as the city manager has provided to you.
Got all that?
We'll see. Do y'all, any other discussion before I make an attempt? All right, then I will make a motion to approve the Downtown Development Authority members as presented, with Chris Dyer serving a 4-year term, Doug Ingram serving a 6-year term, Dr. Corey Mansauer, MD, serving a 2-year term, Aaron Reiser serving a 4-year term, Mary Smith serving a 6-year term, William Smith serving a 2-year term, Jeff Timler serving a 6-year term. As part of that motion, I will also move to adopt the zoning map that was presented to us, less the parcels that were expressly stated by our city manager. Did I do that, okay?
Sounds good, and you might, while we're doing it, and attach the exhibit that describes the various individuals so they can be identified as the positions as required under the statute.
Okay. And we will attach the exhibit, which lists the individuals with their locations, and so that they meet the requirements as provided by state law. All right, do I have a second on that motion?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? All right, hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? All right, by a vote of 5, those individuals are hereby selected for the Mulberry Downtown Development Authority, and the map, less the parcels presented, is hereby adopted. All right, that brings us to item R, executive session. With the city manager said no, any of the council want to do an executive session?
Mr. Mayor, I do have one item of pending litigation that I would like to discuss.
Okay, We have, from Councilman Ingram, a request to do an executive session, for one pending item for litigation. Ladies and gentlemen, before we do that, so state law, for those of you who haven't been here before, allows us to discuss certain items, behind closed doors. One of those is litigation. Councilman Ingram has a litigation matter he wants to address. First off, it's been a long night. We appreciate you guys coming and sticking around. This is a good time to leave. You are more than welcome to stay, but typically when we come back from executive session, we just adjourn. But again, everybody stay safe. Thank you for coming out. And then at this time, I will make a motion to go into executive session for the purpose of discussing one litigation matter. Do I have a second? Second. Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Or by a vote of 5, we'll go into executive session.
for a swear, Cole.
Yes.
You're on.
Well, you guys are wearing jackets, he's got on a polo shirt like
They're just back in the fifties, they couldn't help
Madam Clerk, you let me know when you're ready. You can take time.
You're in the sixties in California, my friend.
it.
He's never left it.
That's more the truth than you know.
Ready? All right, at this time, I make a motion to conclude the executive session for purposes of discussing litigation. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Mayor Pro Tem. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor? All opposed? Executive session is hereby ended. At this time, I make a motion to adjourn. Do I have a second?
Second.
Thank you, Councilman Sullivan. Any discussion? Hearing none, I'll call a vote. All in favor?